Introduction to the Cultural Showdown. Alright, check this out. The 2024 election? That wasn't just politics as usual, it was like the Super Bowl of cultural showdowns. Trump's comeback wasn't just about red versus blue, it was deeper. We're talking about two Americas staring each other down like fighters in the octagon, the elites and the non-elites. Each side's convinced they're the real defenders of America, while the other side, total villains. But what if, and hear me out, they're really just pissed off reflections of each other, like two sides of the same messed up coin? What if the way forward isn't about one side dominating, but about realizing we're all getting screwed in different ways? And here's the kicker. While the rest of us are fighting, there's another group quietly cashing in. The wealthy elites, the billionaire class who don't care about culture wars unless it affects their bottom line. The elite perspective. Think college grads in the city, tech folks, journalists, academics, finance types. They believe in the system, trust the experts. Climate change? Science will save us. Healthcare? We need policy wonks to fix it. What they value: meritocracy, education, progress, sustainability. What freaks them out: populism, anti-intellectualism, losing civil rights. How they see non-elites: backwards, uninformed, stuck in the past. To them, trusting experts isn't being snobby. It's common sense. Like, if you need heart surgery, you don't ask your buddy from high school. You find the best damn surgeon, right? Same logic with climate policy or healthcare reform. But here's where elites screw up. That meritocracy thing, it can turn into straight-up arrogance. If you're sitting in a fancy office in San Francisco or New York, it's easy to forget that wisdom doesn't just come from a degree. A farmer, a trucker, a small-town mechanic, they've got knowledge you can't Google. When elites talk down to them, it's like saying, your life experience doesn't count, and that's how you get resentment. Another blind spot? Disconnected solutions. Elite-driven policies often look great on paper, but fall flat on the ground. Take green energy mandates, vital for the planet, sure. But if they kill coal jobs without offering real alternatives, it's not progress to the people losing paychecks. And let's not pretend elite always means rich and powerful. Your average adjunct professor drowning in student loans, the nonprofit worker barely scraping by in an overpriced city, they're technically part of the elite crowd, but are often as economically screwed as the non-elites they're accused of ignoring. Here's what elites could do better. Trade theory for reality. Run your models, but also talk to the communities affected. Respect local knowledge. Data's great, but so is experience. Make solutions practical. If you're closing factories, make sure there's a plan for what comes next. Recognize economic struggle across classes. Plenty of elites are in their own rat race, juggling debt and job insecurity. Treating all elites like coastal overlords misses the bigger picture. Working class, middle class, often rural or suburban, tradespeople, small business owners, factory workers. They're not all Republican, but they're the backbone of the populist wave. What they value: hard work, community, patriotism, self-reliance. What scares them: globalization, culture shifts, government overreach. How they see elites: out of touch, hypocritical, condescending. From their side, the world looks rigged. Factories shut down, jobs shipped overseas, healthcare costs through the roof. Elites talk about privilege while they're living paycheck to paycheck. They hear progress and think, cool, but what about my town dying because some corporate boardroom decided to cut costs? But non-elites have their blind spots too. Anti-elitism can turn into rejecting all expertise. Scientists, doctors, educators, they get lumped in with corrupt politicians and CEOs. That frustration can spiral into, screw the system, burn it all down. And resistance to change? Understandable but dangerous. Look at the coal industry. Those jobs aren't coming back like they were. Fighting progress without a backup plan doesn't work. And retraining programs? Underfunded, underpublicized, and often mistrusted. Non-elites deserve leaders who offer real solutions, not just culture war soundbites. We need to invest in job transitions, not just promises. Actual funding for training and placement. We need to strengthen local economies. Rebuild industries that aren't just tech-driven. We need to bridge the healthcare gap. Rising costs hit working families hardest. We need to be smart about expertise. Rejecting arrogant elites makes sense. Dismissing doctors and engineers, that's self-sabotage. Now here's the part neither side likes to talk about: the wealthy elites, the real power players, the billionaires, corporate execs, and hedge funders who don't care if you're waving a Trump flag or a pride flag, as long as the tax cuts keep coming and regulations stay lax. What they value: profit, low taxes, minimal regulation. What scares them: anything that threatens their bottom line. How they see everyone else: useful pawns or noisy distractions. While blue-collar workers fight globalization and college-educated professionals debate climate policy, the wealthy elites bankroll both sides of the argument, dodge taxes, and quietly buy up more power. Think about it. Healthcare debate? They're invested in the insurance companies profiting from rising premiums. Trade wars? They'll offshore production to whichever country gives the best deal. Culture wars? Great for clicks, ad revenue, and political donations. To them, polarization isn't a crisis, it's a business model. Keep the working class divided, and no one notices the skyrocketing corporate profits or the fact that billionaires pay lower tax rates than school teachers. But let's not get lazy here. Not every rich person fits the same mold. The tech billionaire funding climate initiatives? Not the same as the hedge fund manager backing deregulation to gut worker protections. Lumping them all together makes it easier for the worst offenders to hide behind the few trying to do something good. Want to see how the game really works? Look at who gets bailed out first when the economy tanks. It's not Main Street. Shared frustrations and the path forward. Here's the wild part. Both sides are fighting the same damn fight. They want stability, dignity, a fair shot. Both feel under attack. Elites by angry populace, non-elites by cultural and economic shifts, and they project their worst nightmares onto each other. To elites, non-elites look like anti-science authoritarians. To non-elites, elites look like arrogant overlords. But under all that noise, the core frustration is the same. No one's listening to us. And that's the irony. The system screws both sides just differently. Non-elites get hit by job losses, rising costs, and cultural displacement. Elites get trapped in competitive rat races, juggling debt and 80-hour work weeks. Wealthy elites? They're chilling in Davos, sipping champagne, watching the chaos like it's reality TV. Both sides lash out, and instead of uniting, they punch sideways while the billionaire class laughs all the way to the bank. We can't move forward if we're just throwing punches. Middle ground isn't naive, it's survival. Here's how we build it. Find shared pain points. Healthcare? Skyrocketing costs hit everyone. Job insecurity? Doesn't care if you're wearing a Carhartt or a Patagonia vest. Respect expertise, drop the ego. Elites need to stop acting like a PhD equals street smarts. Talk with working folks, not at them. And non-elites? Don't throw out expert advice just because it comes from someone with a degree. Defend tradition without blocking progress. You can fight for cultural roots while recognizing that civil rights and environmental protections don't erase your way of life. Hold the real power accountable. Demand tax fairness, corporate accountability, and anti-monopoly policies. Highlight success stories. Look at how veterans groups, unions, and local nonprofits sometimes bridge divides. These cross-cultural alliances don't make headlines, but they work. As we draw to a close, it's evident that the 2024 election has marked a significant chapter in our history. The societal divisions, once simmering beneath the surface, have now come into full view. But, amidst the chaos and contention, there's always a glimmer of hope. The hope that, perhaps, we can find common ground and move forward together. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, take care. Look, America's always been a wild experiment, a bunch of different people trying to build something better together. The founding fathers, total elites. The labor movements that built the middle class, grassroots as hell. Progress has always come from unlikely alliances, not one side crushing the other. Right now, we're stuck in this tribal mindset. But if we step back, the real enemy isn't the other side. It's polarization itself, fueled by the wealthy few who benefit from the chaos. And yeah, some people will roll their eyes and say, middle ground? That's naive. But history says otherwise. Civil rights, workers' rights, women's suffrage, none of those wins came from one tribe dominating, they came from coalitions. That's not kumbaya nonsense, it's how progress happens. We just need to stop fighting like it's a zero-sum game and start acting like we're on the same damn team. That's the fight worth having. And it's the only one that actually changes the game.